Hello, Imaginers. It's Kyla, coaching you to the career and life that you imagined. And today I want to talk to you about some of the gifts of vulnerability. I am not going to lie, it's been a rough couple weeks for me. I unexpectedly lost a friend, and the friend was really instrumental in demonstrating the courage that I needed to create the life and business of my wildest dreams. And the reason that she demonstrated it is because she did it before me. She came before me. I wrote a tribute to her on Facebook, and her family reached out to me and asked if I would speak at her service. And speaking in public, particularly in front of large audiences, is not my comfortable space as an introvert. I can do it, but it takes a lot out of me and it makes me very nervous. And so I really had to be really vulnerable when I thought about speaking about her. And what I wanted to share today is the gifts that happened from that vulnerability, because there are gifts when we are courageous, when we're vulnerable, when we set impossible goals. There's always surrounding gifts that we didn't anticipate that happened to us. And that was certainly the case for me. So her family asked me to read the tribute I wrote. I had been practicing, I'd been picturing the outcome, which I do in my business. It's part of the coaching philosophy that I use in my business, is that we create an outcome and then we create a work back plan to get there. And oftentimes the work back plan that we create to get there is not exactly what creates the outcome that we wanted, but the outcome is always the same, even if the work back plan, sort of the how we would call it, is different. And that's certainly what I found in this process. So I went up there to read the tribute that I wrote to her, and I got through about the first paragraph, and then just became really emotional. I started thinking about my friend. I could picture her in the moment that her business was born, and thinking about her leaving corporate America to create this beautiful business that she had. And so I continued reading, but it was not very understandable to the audience. And I felt so bad that I couldn't get through the tribute, but my friend's family and several of her friends, I probably had a dozen people come up to me afterwards and tell me how brave and courageous I was to even try. And those are some of the gifts of vulnerability. That was the outcome that I had created. I imagined myself after the service, I imagined myself being peaceful and calm, and people coming up to me and saying how beautiful your words were about Elizabeth. And that's what happened. Even though it wasn't the way that I wanted it to go, I certainly would have loved to have been able to get through the tribute without breaking down. But that's part of being vulnerable. It's not always going to be what we imagine. It's not always going to be ideal. But in reality, I was able to honor my friend, honor the courage that she gave me, and honor that courage by being courageous myself at her service. The other amazing thing that happened is I got to know some of her friends that after the service at the reception. Several people wanted to know more about my business because I had talked about it in the tribute. And I ended up giving some of my business cards to them. And again, that was also just an unexpected gift of being vulnerable. Perhaps I can continue to honor her in the work that I'm already doing, but also perhaps by someone that I met through her service, through her reception. And those gifts of vulnerability are out there for you as well. I know that when I was working in corporate America, there were so many things that I wanted to do to start to pursue my dream career in life, but they seemed terrifying. I knew that I would have to be vulnerable. I knew that I would have to risk failing, which of course I now only call learning. But as you start to take some small steps toward that vulnerability, there's so many surrounding gifts that come with it, things that you could have never anticipated. And that is part of the journey of being vulnerable. So on the road to your life imagined, I hope that you will continue to take some small steps, be vulnerable, be a little bit courageous this week in honor of my amazing friend Elizabeth, who was truly living the life that she imagined. You know that I'm here cheering you on to the life and career that you imagined. Check out my website at kylamartinconsulting.com for some resources. I would love to help you take a small step. And I want to, again, honor my amazing friend Elizabeth and just thank her for demonstrating courage and vulnerability. Take care, everyone.